couple of things before we get started actually. If you didn't watch my video that I posted at about 2:30 this afternoon, I've actually gone ahead and I've marinated my chicken. Now this isn't essential, it does help with the texture of the meat. Like I say, we want to go for that smooth, silky texture. So if you do want to marinate your meat, go ahead and do it now. So literally, if you're doing beef, pork, king prawns, chicken like me, chop it up into bite-sized pieces and then add about a teaspoon, 2 teaspoons, half tablespoon or thereabouts of corn flour, along with a drizzle of light soy sauce and some sesame oil. I had Chinese rice wine or Shaoxing wine and some dark soy sauce, so I added that in, and that's now been marinating for 4 hours. So that should be really, really nice. But if you do yours now, just while everybody else is joining on board, and then, yeah, happy days. Another thing that I forgot to mention as well, if you are doing the cook along, you are going to need some stock. So this is chicken stock, but you can use vegetable stock or beef stock. There's about 1.5 cups in there. We may not use it all depending on how saucy you like your black bean. And the very, very, very last thing, the fermented black beans. When you open the packet, you'll notice that they look like little deer droppings or rabbit droppings. You want about 2 tablespoons, pop them into a bowl and then just rinse them under warm water or cold water and then just discard the water. Then cover, so it just covers the top of the black beans. Give them a mush with your finger or your fingers, and you'll have black beans that have been sort of like, they're just ever so slightly softened. This only takes about 2 or 3 minutes, so there's a couple of jobs. So if you haven't marinated your meat, go and marinate your meat, soften your black beans, and don't forget your stock. And I'll give you a couple of minutes just while you're gathering those bits and bobs up. All right. The royal butler has joined. Wow, I am privileged, sir. He was Prince Charles's butler many years ago. So thanks for joining. Yes, Jojo, I've been out in the sun and I went for a little walk earlier, so I've caught some more. I was just saying before you joined, this is the roast peanut look. Who's hungry? So, chili and black bean. Oh, actually, that's not too loud. So obviously I'm doing a chicken and black bean. I think most takeaways, I think the main popular one is the beef and black bean. The reason the beef is so tender and silky smooth when you eat it is because they do marinate it, or it's known as velveting, and that's what we've just done. So you'll have to look back in the video or look at the video that I posted earlier about velveting. Don't worry if you've not done it tonight. If you are using beef, make sure that you cut the meat across the grain. If you cut along the grain with the fibre, it will become quite chewy. You are going to eat beef. I mean, like, you know, do it with a nice piece of steak, and you know you can guarantee it's going to be like nice and juicy for when you got it. All right. Okay. So the other ingredients we're going to need for tonight, obviously, we've got our fermented black beans, which are pre-soaked. We have about 3 tablespoons of corn flour mixed with about 6 tablespoons of water. That's just to thicken at the end. We have our salt and our sugar. Some white pepper for the heat, some light soy sauce for seasoning, dark soy sauce for the umami and the colour, sesame oil just to finish off, and we have our chicken stock, or you can use beef stock. And then for the veggies, I've got a very sorry looking red pepper that's sat in the fridge for about a week, but I'm going to use it. It's a bit crinkled, but with the love and attention that I'm about to give it, so I'll give it a nice stroke. It's going to perk up and it's going to taste delicious. Okay. Again, for some reason I had another half of an onion in my fridge, so I've got half of an onion. I've got a carrot. I've got 2 pieces of garlic or 2 cloves of garlic, so you need those. If you've got 3, put it in. Now the recipe doesn't actually call for ginger. Now because this is a classic Chinese restaurant Cantonese dish, I'm going to put ginger in as well. If you don't have ginger, you don't need to worry about it, but then if you have got it, put it in. And my chilies were looking a bit sorry for themselves as well, so I've picked off the bits that I didn't think were edible, and I've got 2 little pieces of bird's eye chili. Bird's eyes are the ones that give you a bit of a kick, so there's a bit of heat. If you don't like it hot, don't put it in. Okay, so before we get cooking, because this is, once it starts cooking, you need to keep it going, we're just going to prep our veggies. So if you are using carrot, if it's nice and clean, you don't have to worry about peeling, but I'm just going to quickly give mine a quick peel. Have you all been out and enjoyed the sun? I'm going to look for comments. You can talk to me when I'm here, otherwise I get lonely. So there's my carrot peeled. I'm just going to peel my onion as well. Now, because this has sat in the fridge a little bit, I'm just going to take off this little dry bit on the end, and then I'm going to chop it in half, and then just take the outer skin off, because obviously that's chewy, and you can't, it's not really edible. The UK's on holiday. I was talking about that earlier as well. It feels like we're on a permanent holiday at the moment. Garlic, be careful, just give it a bit of a crush and then I can get the skin off easily. And that's my garlic peeled. And lastly, I'm just going to try and save some of this pepper. I'm not going to use all of it. I'm going to chop it in half first of all to get rid of that bit. With the seeds, it's dead easy. Just obviously pull the stem out and then the seeds will come out with it. I'll just give it a quick bang off. And now I have a seeded red pepper. Traditionally in the Chinese restaurants as well, we use green pepper. So normally when you get your black bean dish, it's with green peppers. Sizes, I'm going to chop everything about the same size. So in Chinese, so legend has it, I believe, they think it's quite uncouth that you have to chop your food at the table. So that's why everything's already cut into bite-sized pieces. So when we're thinking about cooking or cutting our vegetables in a Chinese dish, as a rule, everything should be about bite size. So sometimes you'll have slithers, so you'll have long pieces, other times you'll have just bite-sized rounds. With this dish, everything's going to be square or round. So I'm just going to chop my carrot into bite-sized pieces. Same goes for my red pepper. So just chop them into pieces like that first of all, and then just chop it into bite-sized cubes. Simon Wood makes the best shepherd's pie in the world at his restaurant. It is his poncy with air whipped potato. Jojo's, she's got her own radio show called The Foodie Show up in Manchester, I think it was. Just outside of Manchester, Bolton FM, that's right. And yeah, so she's a proper foodie. My ginger, now when you're using any aromat such as garlic or ginger, if you like a subtle aromat flavour, chop your pieces large. So with the ginger, I'm going to leave it quite large and chop it into, what, 3 pieces. Give it a bit of a flatten just to release some of the oils. And then with the garlic, I want more of a garlic flavour. So I'm just going to chop this a little bit finer. So because it's finer, more of the garlic can impermeate the dish. So therefore you're going to get a stronger garlic taste. So if you like garlic but you don't like it repeating, leave the garlic cloves quite big, and therefore you will then get a more subtle garlic flavour. Chop it small like I have and you're going to get that hit of garlic. Last thing, I've got to chop the onion, and we'll chop those into cubes as well. Actually, I've got to chop the chilies as well. So they're into cubes as well. And now my chilli, and I just create little ringlets because I want to get that hit of a bit of chilli in the dish as well. So there we have it. So I'll let you guys catch up. So you've got to chop your carrot, your peppers. Obviously, if you put any other veggies in there, tofu, mushrooms, aubergine, get those all chopped up as well, please. Talking about mental health, don't forget, if you are having a bit of a rough time and not feeling so great, there's a lovely charity that I'm the ambassador for, and they're called LAMP, and they're there to help you guys get through this isolation period, all right? So if you're having a poo day, pick up the phone. LAMP Advocacy, based in Leicester, but they talk to people all around the UK, and give them a call, okay? Are we sorted? Are all your veggies chopped? Yeah, give me some hearts. There you go, I've got loads of hearts, fantastic. Right then, let's start cooking. Oh, let's get my wok on first. Okay, so wok's on. Remember, we don't start cooking until the wok's hot, so this takes about a minute or two. Okay, so we've still got a minute or two just for you to catch up. Remember, get your stock if you haven't got your stock already. Get those black beans soaking in some warm water. My favourite, my dad makes a good black bean. Yeah, it's one of those dishes. I don't order it all the time. In fact, the dish that I order when we go into a Chinese restaurant is the stuffed aubergine and peppers and tofu with the king prawn, where it's been mushed up. So you get like stuffed peppers, and it comes in a beautiful black bean sauce. And that's the black bean dish that I love. In fact, the dish is on my YouTube channel. So I have actually done it on camera before. So if you want to see what I'm talking about, just have a look at my channel. Black bean dish in there, stuffed aubergines, that one. So, but you can do it with tofu and peppers as well. So, hey Franken Glitter, I'm just watching to see what I could have had for dinner. Oh well, next Wednesday you'll have to tune in. I post on Instagram what we're cooking, so you've got plenty of time to go and get the ingredients. All right. I'm a huge fan of the Rocky Horror, or Rocky Horror Picture Show, and we are going to do a Rocky Horror Picture Show cook along one night. So, but yeah, it's all good. Okay, so the wok is now getting quite warm. Not quite there yet, but I'm going to add again. I always say about a tablespoon to 2 tablespoons, so a tablespoon and a half. I'm about right, aren't I? So I'm going to get. In fact, I've got 2 chicken breasts, and they were big chicken breasts. So I'm going to put 2.5 tablespoons of oil in there. Now the first thing I'm going to do now is just sear my chicken. So again, I want to make sure that this wok is really hot, and I'll get it in. I'll give it a quick mix just to make sure that it's touching the bottom of the pan, and then I'm going to leave it alone for a couple of minutes. So it should sizzle as soon as it goes in. So I'm just separating the chicken pieces now because obviously the corn flour's made it quite sticky. And I'm just going to allow the chicken to sear just for about a minute before I do anything else. Maybe not even a minute. I'll get this down there. Alexa, volume 8. There you go, Auntie Dawn. I'm going to have to shout a minute now. I will get it down again when I'm doing something, all right? But we can listen to Albus at his very best. Okay, guys, just give your meat a bit of a toss because you want to try and turn it over. And at this point, you can get your garlic and ginger into the pan. Actually, I'm not going to put the chili in just yet. So that's your garlic and your ginger. I'm sorry, I know the music's loud, but this is for my Auntie Dawn. Once you can start smelling your aromats, which takes about 20-30 seconds, that's when we can start thinking about putting the other veggies in. We want to try and release some of those oils. Okay, so we obviously chopped the garlic, so it's going to be quite pungent anyway. But that ginger we only crushed. So we're just going to make sure that it gets a little bit of that heat so it can start releasing some of those oils and start to fragrance the air. Okay, so that's about 30 seconds. We get some onion in now. And I just break the onion up, and again, we're just cooking this so it softens. Now I'm going to get my black beans in a minute, but I want to try and get the veggies through first because I want the veggies to fry. If I overload my pan, so I could technically put in my peppers and my carrots now, but because I'm cooking on a camp stove, I haven't got that intense heat that you would get in a Chinese restaurant, and I want to maintain that sizzle that you can hear now in the pan. Okay, so that's what you're aiming for. Wok cooking is all about that intense heat and that frying. You know, we talked about it as in the breath of the wok and getting that charring. So, okay, now we can add the peppers, and we'll get the carrots in a minute. And again, just let the heat come back up again, because every time I put a new ingredient into the pan, it lowers the temperature of the wok. And again, I've got to try and keep that wok hot, okay? Okay, I'm going to get my chilies in now. Now you will notice that once you get your chilies in, it's going to start to sort of perfume the air. So I apologise now if I start coughing in a minute. But it does start making the air very spicy. And lastly, I'm going to get my carrots in. And we're just going to give that 2 minutes just so it can start to soften and we get that temperature back in that wok again, alright? Liking all the hearts. Are we all up to date? Are we all on the same page? So at the moment you should have your meat in, your veggies, your garlic, your ginger if you're using ginger. You see what I mean by the chili in the air now. Okay, because I've not got my black beans in yet, I'm going to create just a little bit of a well in the centre. So you can hear there's no vegetables or meat there now. And I'm just going to get about a tablespoon, well, say 2 tablespoons actually. So there's 1.5. And 2 tablespoons of my black beans straight in the middle. And I just want to fry them off just for a minute, okay, because they are wet. So all the meat and vegetables are around the edge of the pan now, and the black beans are in the middle, just burning off some of that water that was in there. So this will help intensify that flavour. In a Chinese restaurant, because you've got that intense heat, you get the black beans in when you put the garlic and ginger in, and that's when the black beans would go in. But if I'd done that with this little wok and this little gas ring, it would have cooled the wok down too much and nothing else would have fried. So that's why I'm putting it in now. So they're becoming really nice and sticky now, and I've really got that intense fermented black bean smell. So I'm just going to mix all of that in. Okay, now we can add some dries. So I have salt. I'm going to put about half a teaspoon of salt in, and about half a teaspoon of sugar. So the salt and sugar just work together just to lift those flavours. I've already got the heat from the chilli, but I'm now going to get, I'm just going to dry my hands off, about a quarter teaspoon, well not quarter actually, about 1/8 of a teaspoon of white pepper. Maybe a little bit more, just for that background heat. Going to give that a bit of a stir. And now I'm going to put in around about a cup of stock. And I may adjust that. Okay, so I've put about 1.25 cups. And you know what? I'm going to put all of it in. I'm going to have a nice saucy black bean dish. And I'm going to let that come up to the boil. But before I do that, I need to add about half a tablespoon of light soy sauce.
When you said you love me.
And about a teaspoon to a teaspoon and a half of dark. Now the dark is going to help with the colour, and also as well that sweetness and umami flavour. Cool. See all that sizzling stopped now, and I'm just going to let that come up to the boil. And I say normally I'll just splash then. I've got black bean on my new white t-shirt. Oh my god, panic attack. Oh, I don't like that. That's going straight in the wash after this. So once this comes up to the boil and you're happy that your meat's cooked, I'm just going to give it a taste. And obviously if it's a little bit salty, you can put sugar in. And if it's a little bit sweet, you can put a bit more salt in. So, Pewee was asking my favourite book and my favourite recipe from my Veggie Chinese Takeaway cookbook. There's a couple of dishes in there that are really nice. The cauliflower yuk sung is amazing. Now, I'm a big fan of the chicken yuk sung. So this is where you have the chicken and it's served in. You've got hot chicken, which is really juicy. You've got the fried vermicelli, which are crispy. You've got the creamy cashew nuts on top. And then it's served in an ice cold lettuce leaf, iceberg lettuce leaf. But the cauliflower is amazing in this dish. And those flavours just cling to those florets. So that's one of my favourites, if I'm completely honest. It's a really nice dish from the veggie one. And obviously we're not using the oyster sauce in there, we use the mushroom stir fry sauce, and the recipe for that is in the cookbook as well, which I think is invaluable if you're trying to get this intense umami flavour into your Chinese food, but you can't use oyster sauce. So yeah, so it's a good one. Juliana, I'm a teetotal, so I've got a really low intolerance to alcohol. Only reason I don't drink. So I'm a Pepsi Max drinker, which is terrible, I know. It's sugar free, but the amount of crap that's in it, I'm sure it's bad. And I literally go through bottles and bottles of Pepsi Max every week. So yeah, so we're boiling away. Be careful, just gonna dip my finger in. Perfect. If I'm completely honest, that tastes really, really nice. See, you've got the black bean, fermented black beans coming through. There's a nice subtle taste of the garlic. It's salty, it's sweet, it's got that umami flavour coming through. It's a really, really nice dish. So the last thing I've got to do is thicken. So are we all up to boiling? Give me some hearts and let me know that we're up to boiling, please. So while I'm waiting for these hearts to come through, so I know everybody's at the same stage as I am, I'm going to start massaging or breaking down my corn flour and water. Remember, when it sits for a little while, it goes rock hard. And all you've got to do, you've just got to massage it between your fingers, and eventually it becomes completely liquid again. So we'll just do this now. So we're nearly there. So I get my fingers all around the bottom, around the edges. And now I have a very smooth corn flour slurry. Now remember, I've got to make sure that my dish is boiling before I add the corn flour, because as soon as it hits the sauce, it's going to start to thicken, and this is where you get glumps of like snot in there, which is not nice. So it's boiling away, and I'm slowly going to drizzle, and I mean slowly, my corn flour slurry as I'm mixing at exactly the same time. And I've got a lot of sauce in here, so I'm going to need quite a lot of corn flour. So I want it nice and saucy, and I want it to cling to those veggies, cling to the chicken. Oh, lovely. Perfect. Just give the bowl a wipe, put that to one side. Okay, finished. And the last thing we do, I've said this in all of my videos, use it as a marinade or seasoning, don't cook with it. It's too expensive and it just ruins it. So I'm going to add about a teaspoon. It's a big dish, all over, and I'll give that a quick stir. Put the lid back on, and then I shall serve this up, and you can have a quick look of what you've just cooked at home for today. A big ladle. So this is my Netherton ladle that they sent me, with my Netherton wok and my Netherton frying pan. Netherton now, fantastic. And there we have it, our chicken, chili and black bean. Obviously you've got beef maybe. So simple, tastes far better than any Chinese takeaway you can go to. This is top quality Cantonese cooking. I learned from the best. I'm now teaching you. It's nothing about how skilled I am. I had fantastic teachers, that's what it was. My dad was phenomenal. He had a fantastic restaurant, fantastic chefs, and I'm now passing this knowledge on to you guys. I hope you've enjoyed. Next Wednesday, don't forget to tune in to my midweek Chinese takeaway, Wok Along. How groovy is that? Stay home, stay safe. I hope you enjoy your dinner. If you've got some nice steamed rice, this will be fantastic with it. And that's it for tonight. Keep looking on my Instagram for the next dishes, and I'll post all the ingredients and everything you need again. All right. So, but until then, I'll see you later, guys. Bye bye. See you later, Mum. On to Dawn.